I'm going to keep this straightforward. If you're on the fence about a high-capacity UPS for a server rack, a small office, or a home lab, this review is meant to help you decide if the Eaton Tripp Lite SU5000RTFMB actually fits the bill. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. I've spent the last few weeks looking at the spec sheet, digging through the limited buyer comments, and even swapping notes with a couple of IT managers who run similar gear, so what follows is grounded in real-world concerns rather than marketing fluff. First off, the biggest hesitation people have with any 5000VA unit is the cost versus the actual protection you'll get. The SU5000RTFMB is marketed as a full-range UPS that can handle up to 4500W of load, and it comes with a pre-installed 120V step-down transformer. What that means in practice is you can plug in standard 120V equipment servers, networking switches, even a few desktop workstations directly into the unit without needing a separate transformer box. For a rack that's already populated with 208V equipment, you get the flexibility to add a mixed set of devices without rewiring the whole cabinet. That flexibility is where a lot of the value comes from, especially if you're retrofitting an older rack that wasn't originally designed for high-density power. Now, who should actually consider buying this? If you run a small to medium data center, a dedicated office server room, or a home lab that's starting to look like a miniature colocation, the ability to support both 208V and 120V loads from a single UPS simplifies cable management and reduces the number of spare transformers you need to store. The built-in maintenance bypass switch is another practical perk. In a real-world scenario, when you have to replace a battery or perform firmware updates, you can flip the bypass and keep your critical gear online without a brief outage. That's a feature you only see on the more expensive enterprise models, and it can be a lifesaver during scheduled maintenance windows. On the flip side, there are clear reasons to walk away. If you're a typical desktop user who only needs a few devices protected, you'll be paying for capacity you'll never use. The unit takes up a full 6U of rack space, so in a tight 42U rack you're giving up a whole row just for one power source. Also, the step-down transformer adds weight and heat. I've heard from a few installers that the unit runs a few degrees warmer than a plain 208V UPS, which means you have to make sure your rack's airflow is adequate. Lastly, the price point sits higher than a comparable 5000VA UPS without the transformer and bypass features, so if you already have a separate transformer solution or your equipment is all 208V, you might be overpaying for extras you'll never touch. Let's talk about practical strengths. The extended runtime option is one of those nice-to-have features that becomes must-have when a power outage hits during a critical backup window. With the optional extended battery packs, you can push runtime from the standard 10-minute window at full load to over half an hour, giving you enough time to gracefully shut down servers or switch to a secondary power source. In a scenario where a small business is processing end-of-day transactions, that extra cushion can prevent data loss and keep the accounting software from crashing. The network card integration also means you can monitor the UPS health, load levels, and battery status from a central console, something that IT departments appreciate for proactive maintenance. Weaknesses show up when you look at the day-to-day interaction. The front panel is functional but a bit dated. You have to press a sequence of buttons to cycle through status screens, which can be unintuitive if you're used to a touchscreen interface. Also, the unit's noise level is noticeable around 55 dB at full load. In a server room that's already humming, that's fine, but if you plan to place the UPS in a shared office space, the fan noise could become a distraction. Finally, the warranty is 2 years, which is standard for this class, but the $250,000 equipment insurance is tied to proper registration within a limited window. Missing that step could nullify the coverage, something a busy admin might overlook. Bottom line, the Eaton Tripp Lite SU5000RTFMB is a solid, feature-rich UPS that makes sense when you need the hybrid 208V/120V capability, the maintenance bypass, and the option to extend runtime without buying a completely separate system. If you fit the profile of a small server environment, a lab that mixes equipment voltages, or an office that can't afford downtime, the extra cost is justified by the flexibility and uptime protection it brings. If you're looking for a simple backup for a few PCs or you already have a dedicated transformer solution, you'll likely find a cheaper, lighter unit that meets your needs. If the blend of capacity, transformer convenience, and maintenance features sounds like what you've been searching for, give the product a closer look. The link is in the description below.